Na 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 na. I don't know if we're still doing the same intro. I think we are.
We are, yeah. Well, I would like to say top of the morning to you.
Top of the morning to you, sir.
So we're coming to you. It's St. Patrick's Day, and we have not one, not two, not three, but 4 years for St. Patrick's Day.
It's a tough job, but we are willing to make this sacrifice for you.
You know, it's somebody's got to do it.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely.
So, all right, well, let's get started. Our first one up today is Great Lakes Conway's Irish Ale. Great Lakes is I actually really enjoy Great Lakes. I've only been to actually I've been to 2 of them. I've been to Lake. I've swam in Lake Michigan, and I've seen Lake Erie when I went to Cleveland. I did not actually go visit them when I went to Cleveland, which is kind of a bummer. They're located in Cleveland, if you haven't guessed. And Conway's Irish Ale is named after Pa Conway, who is the grandfather of the founders of Great Lakes Brewing Company, and he was a police officer. So,
and we had the Edmund Fitzgerald Porter, didn't we? That was excellent.
Yeah, and they also have they have a beer named after Elliot Ness, which is just untouchable.
Now, I heard something random thing. The Edmund Fitzgerald, that was a ship that has sunk in the Great Lakes, wasn't it?
Did it sing in the Great Lakes? I didn't know. I only know Edmund Fitzgerald from the beer and the song by, what's his name? Gordon Lightfoot.
I actually know somebody called something Lightfoot. But the interesting thing is the Great Lakes are so cold that the bacteria that would break down the bodies apparently wasn't there, so they were preserved.
Really?
I think. I don't know. This is stuff. We go there, but anyway, we're starting off strong with the the Great Lakes.
Great Lakes, yeah. Do they cover like Great Lakes in geography for like England?
No.
Okay. No. I wasn't sure. I mean, like, I don't know. Like, they're called the Great Lakes, and I realized that like here it's kind of a big deal, and like we have to memorize like the acronym is HOMES for Huron, Ontario, Michigan, Erie, and Superior.
Wow.
But yeah. But I realized I'm like that might not be like, you know, a very popular thing outside of the U.S. and Canada.
I don't think we did much geography, and I think it was in the context of like these are the countries we used to own.
That's British geography.
Oh, I was going to say also for St. Patrick's Day, didn't we have some?
Oh yeah, get those. Hold on.
And while we are taking this brief gap for Brandon to go and get the crisps, I'm going to entertain you with me telling you about crisps. And there we go. That was good. I was really running out of material right then and there.
That was fantastic. Yeah, so we have Guinness crisps.
Which is actually, if we're going to tackle 4 beers, a bit light snacking is quite a good idea.
I agree.
So I'm going to have one of these crisps. These a true love story like no other. So they're crisps flavored with Guinness beer. So,
It's actually pretty good.
yeah. And now here is Conway's Irish Ale. So he was a policeman. It's funny, in America, you know, the Irish were renowned for being police, weren't they?
Well, yeah, police, like any of those like civil service jobs, like police, postman, fireman. There's a great stand-up special. It's kind of a one-man show, really. Colin Quinn does like the history of New York and like how New York got its attitude and aura. He talks a lot about like the Irish immigrants and like Tammany Hall, and you know, it's fantastic actually. So also fantastic, this beer.
It really is. I mean, we know the Great Lakes is always going to produce good stuff, but this is, I mean, the color, it's like a beautiful ruby red. It's clear as a bell. It's got a nice head. It clings to the glass.
It's got that beautiful malt flavor that you look for in an Irish red ale.
Yeah, and I really like that because, I mean, hops you can get over hopped. I don't think you can get over malted.
No, I agree.
And it's always good beer to drink with food as well.
I was reading up about it. They actually do suggest having corned beef with this, which originally was not a St. Patrick's Day feast. It was originally ham, but then they couldn't afford it, so they took the corned beef from the Jews, as my grandmother used to like to tell me.
Isn't that interesting? So I'm trying to talk Tina into doing some corned beef because she does that very well.
If you are watching this on St. Patrick's Day, I'm definitely eating corned beef.
Yes, and you should watch one of our previous episodes out of Beverages. Very good one.
We did. We did a special, great St. Patrick's Day episode. And it was our first season, so.
Okay, well, I think that's terrific. So it's 25 IBUs. We were talking about how IBUs are, like, not necessarily that relevant if you're not talking about a hoppy beer, but...
Right. No, this is it's really great.
6.3%, so it's not a session beer, but it's not, like, super beefy. I don't know. It's excellent.
I agree.
I think that pretty much set the bar, so now...
I know. Well, let's see how Saranac, I hope I'm saying this right, let's see how Saranac, how their Irish Red Ale holds up.
Now, these are good old boys from New York, aren't they? From Utica.
They are. So, from Utica.
Utica, Utica.
So, they're actually family owned. Now, when I say family owned, how many generations do you think we're going back?
3?
Close, 4.
I mean, that's pretty amazing in the context of America.
I know. So it's funny. I've had Saranac before. I actually had, Saranac was my first pumpkin beer, and I had a gigantic, it was like not a pint, it was like a liter of beer, and it was a pumpkin-shaped glass, and I never noticed, I've had them a couple of times since then, I've never noticed that it says Saranac, and then under it, it says FX Matt Brewing Company.
I saw that when I just looked at the bottle.
And FX Matt is Francis Xavier Matt, and he was a German immigrant who came over and started brewing beer in 1878.
Same year my grandfather was born.
Right, which we talked about yesterday, yes. Right, so he was brewing beer in 1878, and then they kept up with it. And even, like, Prohibition happened in the 1920s, and then abolished, and they had this kind of, in the 1940s, the FX Matt Brewing Company had kind of a resurgence, and they were like a craft brewery before craft breweries. They had all these different styles of beer, kind of, before that was like a popular thing to do. And then as the craft beer revolution came, then they started brewing all these other beers. So let's see what their Irish Red is like. It's a little bit darker than the Great Lakes. It's not as... So it's interesting. It's not as malty, but it's not bad. I don't prefer it as much. I think Great Lakes, having this back to back, I think Great Lakes does a taste that's more appealing to me. It's got a little bit more of the malt, too. So I think it is a better... if you were going for like a thoroughbred style, I think this would be a better example of it. But again, this isn't a bad beer. I think this is quite good.
I would say they're quite similar. This is less alcohol, so maybe that's why the flavor isn't quite so forward. I don't know. I would say like it's a toss up between them. I guess I would say just on technical style, Great Lakes is superior, but it's very close.
No, the Great Lake is Erie.
But we've also got 2 from Saranac, so we can see.
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited about the next one as well. But this is excellent. I can't really. It's one of those things. It's like If you had to make the choice between the two, I'd go with Great Lakes, but you can't really fault this.
No, and I think that's the thing is like it's not bad. Like it's really, and I hate to make those comparisons because it's basically like if you have an honors student, but then like your next door neighbor has like a kid who's in AP classes, you're like, oh man, that kid's a genius. It's like my kid's pretty fucking smart too.
Yeah.
Like this is a good beer. It's just not as good as the one we had before it. So
That's yeah, and it's. I would be happy to down a couple of pints of either of those with some corned beef.
yeah, oh yeah.
That might be a plan actually. Bet some red wine would go nicely with corned beef though.
I don't know. Whenever I think of corned beef, I can't not think of when I think of like a corned beef or a brisket. I always think of beer, or actually, I do think of wine. I think of Manischewitz though because the biggest time of year when I'm having brisket is Passover, so not really eating. That would actually be a fun episode. We should do that. We should do like kosher Passover wine and then explain why it's kosher Passover.
I'm down for that.
Stay tuned for that for the for our Jewish viewers.
We need some of that. Okay, so are we going to move on to the Irish cream?
Let's do it.
So again, Dave is getting some action in today.
Mm-hmm. So Saranac is, just so everybody's aware, they renamed the brewery after the rail line. So Saranac is a rail line in upstate New York in the Utica area. So that's, in case you were curious what Saranac is.
So this is an ale, isn't it? It's Irish coffee cream. You'd think it would be a stout or a porter, but this, I mean, because it's dark like a porter.
Yeah, I would say it is interesting because this is definitely it's less red. So the previous ones we had were all like red beers. This is definitely got a browner taste, a browner look. Excuse me.
Smells amazing.
I would imagine.
Yeah, you get that coffee there, and look how it clings to the glass as well. This is like.
Yeah.
That's terrific. That's really good.
Yeah. It's interesting because it's sweet and it's not like overpowering sweet. This is definitely bordering on a porter.
Yeah, I would say that. It's got that the sweetness, I think, comes from the lactose, which is where the milk comes from, which is a different kind of sweetness to...
Right. It's good, though. This is a really nice... I think we chose a really good order. I mean, honestly, it just happened to be, when we were picking the order, it happened to be the ones that we were... I was writing about in regards to like, how I picked them out of the six-pack I had. But I think it is a nice transition from Irish Red to Irish Red, and then going same brewery, and then going to this one. It's nice because it's a good like segue from the malty to, it's got more malt, but it also has the sweetness. It's got a beautiful taste all around. I really like it.
Just 1 second, I'm just going to close the door because our kiddies have returned home.
All right.
This would go really nicely with a big slice of chocolate cake.
I can see that. So it's funny. One of the first times, so our favorite bar is Tavern on George. And one of the first times we went there was for St. Patrick's Day, and I distinctly remember having Irish coffee there.
I think they always did that really well. That was when Tavern and George had just opened, wasn't it?
Yeah. So shout out Becca, who made that first Irish coffee for me. At Tavern and George. This is fantastic. This is really, like I said, Saranac has a great variety of beers, and this is no different. This is really, it sets them up nicely. They've done a great job with it.
Yeah, I would. There is something about the sweetness to it that I think that is a beer I'm going to pick up again when I have something like a big chocolate cake or really in the mood for chocolate cake now.
No, I really can't say enough about this. I'm trying to like. It's funny because sometimes like I want to savor this. I don't want like there are times where like we're doing multiple beers and we're just kind of like, all right, I gotta get through this. I gotta power through this. I don't feel like that right now. I feel like this is a beer that I really want to enjoy.
Well, I'll tell you what. While you are enjoying that, we could talk about some of the things we got planned coming up. So, he said. I was going to talk about the things we got planned coming up, and you just necked that. But
I did, yeah.
But we started to. We had a great time with Beer Guys 911, and so we're going to get into a bit more collaboration, a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So
look, if you see us and you're like, "Hey, we seem like cool guys. I want to drink with them." Feel free to leave a comment. Also, this is a good way to segue into our collaboration with Beer Throne. So if you go to Beer Throne, beerthrone.com, they have amazing T-shirts, they have mugs, they have posters and bottle openers. You get 10% off when you enter the code ADVENT. So it's capital A, all caps locks ADVED. And you get 10% off. And yeah, that's a really awesome collaboration that I'm looking forward to. And we're going to start a segment with them also.
Yeah, I'm quite excited by the whole idea of like the glassware and things like that. But
yeah,
we will give you more details of that. This final beer in the Irish thing, though, I'm kind of excited about.
Yeah.
So my mother, this is her beer of choice.
Yeah.
My mother likes the amber nectar, as she calls whiskey, and then she likes Murphy's Stout. This is something that she's been drinking since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And it's funny because most people would think, Irish beer, Irish Stout, they'd think Guinness, but my mother always preferred Murphy.
It's interesting. So Murphy also has, I guess it's like the nitro quality to it?
Yeah.
Hold on, let's see. They have it explained on the back. I really should have looked this up.
I think you can hear the widget in there.
Yes. Since 1856, Murphy's Stout has been brewed in Cork using our authentic recipe. Just to specify, I mean Cork, Ireland, not Cork, like the material. We pride ourselves in only using the finest natural ingredients of pure malt, chocolate malt, roasted barley, and hops. Murphy's offers you that uniquely smooth, creamy, and wonderful, palatable, full-bodied stout flavor with roasted chocolate and coffee undertones and a biscuity sweet pure malt aroma. This is James J. Murphy, founder. That's bullshit because it says established 1856. So I don't know what that quote's from. Anyway,
aesthetically, it's beautiful. It's pitch black.
Yeah. Do you know? Okay, wait. Hold on. This is some trivia for you. I was unaware of this. Do you know who owns this beer? Who the parent company is?
No.
Guinness. Not Guinness. Excuse me. Heineken.
Well, Heineken owns a lot, don't they?
They do. So they were actually really. It's funny. They bought this in hopes of like targeting the Guinness crowd, and after like spending all the 80s and 90s trying to make a dent, they didn't. And they were just like, fuck it, we're going to focus on other things. So, I'm curious if your mom was like a product of, okay, I like Murphy's in that like 80s, 90s push, or if like, I don't know. I had never seen Murphy's before last year.
It's funny because my mother she specifically picked Murphy's rather than Guinness, so I'll have to ask her.
Yeah.
So,
and I do feel like we have the Guinness potato chips on the Murphy's beer. This is like blasphemy.
So that's interesting. It is And a drinking experience is beautiful because it's so smooth, clings the glass. I don't really taste a lot.
It's interesting because okay, so going back to my college days when I first started drinking, I remember Guinness being really thick, and I was like, oh man, like Guinness is like mud. And then when I started getting into other stouts and porters, I was like, oh, this is like really good. I actually really enjoy this. And then I would go back to Guinness, and I'm like, this is really light.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is the same way, where it's got the label of a stout, but it's not a high ABV like other stouts, and it's not thick. Like there are stouts you have where you're like, ooh, this is a good winter. Like this is a good winter beer. This is more of a this is definitely like a good spring, like vernal equinox kind of beer.
Yeah, this is. I mean, it is what it is, I guess, but it doesn't excite me. I think it's interesting because all of the other ones we've got something exciting to say. It's like this is, but then that's kind of the thing with Heineken and with Guinness and stuff. It's like you buy it because it's consistent.
Yeah, you definitely know what you're getting with this. It's not. Listen, it's nothing to write home about. It's not like you're gonna drink it and be like, "This is amazing." You're gonna drink it and be like, "Yeah, you know what? This is kind of on par with Guinness."
Yeah, I think it would be difficult to tell the difference between them, and I guess I'll have to ask my mother why she made that one.
Yeah.
Well, that is quite a range that we've gone through. How would you stack them up in terms of ranking?
All right. So, what should you be drinking on St. Patrick's Day? Out of these four, I would rank them. If I had to go 1 through 4, I would rank Great Lakes Irish Red number 1 out of these 4. I would rank Saranac Irish Coffee Cream number 2, Saranac Irish Red 3, and then this is 4.
I would agree with that 100%.
Yeah. I just felt like you know what, we started off so strong, and I think the other thing too to consider is that we're not doing any palate cleansing or any really like olfactory cleansing. So a lot of this is like you're just getting, we're going like one right after the other, and there's definitely something to that. I think that there's a lot of times, like if I'm doing a flight, I will do the strongest beer last, or the beer that I'm anticipating liking the most last. I didn't know which one to expect. Out of these, have you had Murphy's before?
I've had Murphy's before, yeah.
So out of these 4, I think Murphy's is the only one I've had before. It's the only one I can really recall having before. And I kind of knew, like, all right, this isn't great, but, it's not Guinness. And the other thing, too, is I don't want to specify it as, like, it's not Guinness. I think it's a terrible way to describe it.
That's a new tagline.
Yeah. Murphy, we're not Guinness. Because I think that they have their merit. There is there's a reason to drink. Honestly, last year I bought a 4-pack of them, and when I made my corned beef and cabbage last year, I prepared the corned beef in Murphy's.
Interesting.
So yeah, the potatoes came out terrible, but the corned beef came out great.
I've never been able to make it as good as the stuff Tina made for that when we were filming that episode.
Yeah.
Well, potatoes are good if you roast them in goose fat. You can get goose fat at Greekstown Farmers Market.
Speak of the devil, and she shall appear. Tina is.
Yeah.
We were just talking about how delicious your corned beef was for that particular.
Oh, well, thank you. I was listening to the what you were saying about the difference in the beers, and is there for sushi you have ginger in between different sushis. for various foods, you have, I think, sorbet. Is there a beer palate cleanser that you can have? But wouldn't the salt in that affect it's not a palate cleanser, so to speak?
I believe to clear it out, you are supposed, I think, don't quote me on this, I think you're supposed to sniff, like, coffee beans. And that helps, like, clear out. I gotta look this up.
Yeah, just maybe another episode.
That's
professionals we are. How to cleanse the palate.
Like get like chocolate covered coffee beans or something in between, or
that actually sounds delicious.
Some widely used palate cleansers are sorbet, red, apple slices, banana. What the fuck is Bico? Anybody know what Bico is? B-I-K-O.
A Muppet? Wasn't that the Muppet that went... No, that's Beaker.
And pickles. Tart or citrus flavors are also used as a cleanser, such as braised pineapple or grapefruit. Bamia, a traditional Anatolian stew that is sometimes served as a palate cleanser between food courses at ceremonial feasts.
Interesting. Well, we will have to give that...
We're going to have to give that a whirl. Pickles would be a good one. Did I tell you that I started making my own pickles?
No, I'm always interested in pickleback, which is the pickle juice with the whiskey and things.
I wouldn't drink my pickle juice, but I think the pickles I've been making are pretty fucking.
You make pickled garlic, I'm in.
There is garlic in the pickled brine, so I'm sure I can give you the pickled garlic. So, my lady friend that I live with,
Good evening, lady friend. I have returned from work.
I like the understatement. It's like I have a girlfriend that I live with, and I'm like the woman that I live with, like the woman that I share a bed with. She recently told me earlier today that she tried one of the jalapenos that I put. So to give the pickles an extra kick, I will put I'll kind of like poke holes in a jalapeno and then put that in the jar with them. And that really does make a difference. And she tried one of the jalapenos today, and she said it was really good. So maybe there is something to the garlic that's left over in the brine.
I can eat a jar full of pickled garlic or pickled jalapenos in a sitting.
Okay.
And we actually had that as an opening for Adult Beverages once, remember?
Oh, didn't we? Yeah.
I feel like we did. I feel like there was an episode where Tina was just like eating jalapenos.
I think you guys improvised that entire thing as well.
I remember we went out for a friend's birthday once, and we were... What was it? It was like a sauce or something. And...
Yes, it was Lauren's birthday.
Okay. But it was like a sauce... Was this sauce and I was like, that's really hot. And you're like, shut up, you pansy. And then you like drank it. And I was like, oh, you're like, it's not that bad. And I'm like, you gotta give it a minute. And then like a minute later, you were like, still not that bad.
Yeah, I will admit that did happen.
Yeah. Because that one was like, that was one of those things where like, it took a minute. And I remember the first time I had it, I was like, this isn't that bad.
You still gave me props for holding my own with it and not bursting out in tears.
Listen, I gave you so much credit for not breaking down in tears on that one. Yeah, that was I mean, it must have been like a hot sauce. I don't remember exactly what it was, but...
I know there's a sauce that's so hot you can only use one drop at a time because it will literally make your tongue swell.
And here's the... Okay, so circling back to the beer, I don't understand that. This is something we've talked about so much on this show. We're like, we'll talk about why would you want to overhop something or make something so sour? Why do you need... Like, why do people invent peppers that are so hot, so high on the Scoville rating, and it's like, this is literally going to kill you? Why would you do that to yourself?
Because there's an inherent jackass in everybody.
I guess.
What is that line from Star Trek where Spock asks Captain Kirk, "Why do you climb a mountain?" It's like, because it's there.
That was a Star Trek quote?
Yep.
I thought it was like a Sir Edmund Hillary quote.
Maybe it was. Maybe he was paraphrasing. I don't know.
Let me rephrase. I think everybody likes to flirt with danger once in a while. And it borderlines sheer stupidity at certain points.
Maybe.
I was watching Anchorman 2 last night, and there was that scene where they were like, "Hey, remember that time you dared me to drink the laundry liquid? I won't live past 55 now."
Tide Pod challenge.
That movie came out before the whole Tide Pod challenge.
Yeah. Tide Pods do look delicious, I'm not going to lie.
Don't try this at home, folks. Don't take his opinion either.
Well, anyway, enjoy your St. Patrick's Day. May the wind be at your back.
May the road rise to meet you.
Yeah. Everybody's Irish for a day, and stay safe. And don't forget, if you're looking for some great apparel or some great glasses, go to beerthrone.com, promo code ADBEV, and get 10% off.
Excellent. Well, we will see you next time for another exciting installment.
Yep.
Right.
Cheers.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.